So in this video, I just want to show you what's in my bag and also to do a brief tutorial on the actual golf club for those of you that are new to the game. So at first, let's just talk about the structure of the golf club and the different components of the golf club. Up here is obviously the grip, then we have the shaft, you have the club head, and then there's this thing called here the hosel. And the hosel is what attaches the club head to the shaft. You have graphite shafts, you have steel shafts. These are KBS tour shafts. They're metal. And so when we talk about shafts, the idea is to hit the ball, generate as much club head speed as possible. And as we get older, and maybe for the female golfers, they want lighter shafts to generate more speed, which is where graphite comes in. Steel is more for the, the accomplished player or the mid handicap, the younger players. And typically, if you were to categorize it, I would say graphite is more for the senior player, and a lot of women like the lighter shaft as well. It's not to be sexist or anything, it's just that if you're trying to get the club to swing faster, for a lot of folks, the easiest way to do that is to swing a lighter golf club. So I just want to go through my bag and share with you what I have here. 14 clubs in a bag. I've got 4 iron through pitching wedge for the irons. I'm a TaylorMade guy. I've got the P7MB irons, which are a TaylorMade's blade. Typically when we say blade, we're talking about a thinner top line. When you look down on the club, it's a thinner top line and a smaller head in general. The game improvement clubs tend to be bigger physically with a bigger sweet spot, which we're going to get into centeredness of hit here in a little bit in some other videos and how important it is. But basically the better play, you don't want to be playing these blades unless you're a low handicap. I've got the driver, TaylorMade Stealth 9 degree. I've cut the shaft down an inch to 44.5 inches. Standard is more like 45.5 now. And I like that just for more control, and I don't lose distance because I'm shortening the shaft, which is the argument you'll hear. I like a little more control with the driver, with the shorter driver. And you see Tiger and a lot of really good players have a shorter driver. I'm also playing with the reduced tapered grips here. So these are Golf Pride grips, but they've come out with this recently where the blue part, the lower part of the hand doesn't taper down narrow the way it used to. It's a little thicker than what we are used to, and that has helped me to not turning the club over quite as much and hooking it, and I've just found it to work really well with me. And I think it's a new trend in golf in general. And then I've got a 4-wood is my next iron, or my next wood, sorry. The Stealth 4-wood. It's a 16.5 degree fairway wood, which I use a lot off the tee and in the fairway. This club goes, anywhere from 280 to 300, depending on how well I hit it. And then I have my hybrid here. We have what do we have here? We have a 19.5 degree traditional 3-wood loft, 3-iron loft. This is another TaylorMade Stealth club, which is extremely versatile out of the rough, tends to get the ball up higher, a little more versatile than actually an old school 3-iron. Love this club. Then I carry 4 wedges. I've got the pitching wedge, and then I've got these TaylorMade's new wedges, and I've got a 58 degree, a 52 bent to 51, and a 56 bent to 55. And those are just numbers those are where my gaps were. I just have found that to be what I need. You'll see a lot of guys 51, 52, 58, 59, 60. It really depends on the individual player, and that's something that you can develop yourself. You go out and find out what kind of loft you need to get the distance you're looking for or what you're missing. The last thing about the wedges I think I want to point out too is bounce. It's not just the loft of the wedge that's important, but it's the bounce on the wedge that has a lot to do with its performance. Depending on your ability, the higher handicap, this is a generalization, but you typically, the higher handicap is going to want a little more bounce, especially out of the bunkers for their sand wedge. And the better player tends to have a little less bounce, so they're able to, be a little more precise with their striking of the ball, and they don't need to have the help of the bounce to help get that ball up in the air. They're able to make precise, really good contact with it, which requires less bounce. The bounce on these wedges, let's see, I've got 8 degrees of bounce on the 58, 7 degrees on the 51, and 7 degrees on the 55. Bounce ranges anywhere from maybe, let's say, 3 to 14, 16, it goes pretty far up. Those high bounces are almost restricted for the higher handicap player. Conditions can also dictate what kind of bounce you may want. Tournament players a lot of times will have 2 sets of wedges. They'll have a set for dry, hard, firm conditions, Augusta-like, where there's less bounce. And then if you're playing up in the Northeast in the summer where it's maybe lush, real deep, rough that is even, or if it's wet, if it's been raining and it's super soggy and the club tends to, the leading edge tends to dig a lot, that's when you're going to want to have your wedges that have a little more bounce in them. So I know at the height of my playing career, I was definitely had 2 sets of wedges with different types of bounce on them depending on the day and the conditions in the course. And then the last club in my bag is the putter. I've got a Scotty Cameron Newport 2. Tiger made this putter famous back in the day. He still uses a similar style here. I've been playing with this for a really long time. I do have a bigger grip on it. I tend to like that for controlling the face angle. We'll talk about that, how important that is to making putts. And the other thing about the putter that you want to pay attention to is the length of the putter. What best fits your body type and your, whether you're based on your arm length, all kinds of things. But in addition to the putter length and the grip, when we're talking about customizing it and getting it dialed into what works best for you, the other component is the swing weight. So all golf clubs have a swing weight, and it's just something to be aware of. It's a scale, and all putters will come within the range of a standard swing weight. So as soon as you start to modify the grip or the length of the shaft of any golf club, you're going to affect the swing weight. In my case, I cut my putter down several inches, and I had to add a bunch of lead tape on the back of it to make up for it so that the club wasn't too light. And when it's too light, then we tend to get more hands involved and we tend to guess. So you want to experiment with that. I definitely would recommend trying more than one putter. And if I could give you one piece of advice is that if it doesn't look good to you, then you're not going to, if you don't like the look of it, then you're probably not going to perform well with it. It's like a car, if you don't like the look of it, you probably don't like the car. Make sure you like your golf clubs. And that goes for all of them. And that's a personal preference. These are the 14 clubs I have. I also have, depending on the course I'm playing, I will add a 7-wood, or if there's a super long par 3 on the course where I need to hit it, maybe 250 or something, and maybe I'll take out one club, take out one wedge, and add an extra long iron, that kind of thing. So that's it for my bag. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. And as we launch this new channel, we really appreciate your likes and your subscribes and comments as well. Thank you very much.